Hey, this is Bad Movie Mark of the Bad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1957 romantic comedy Death Set.
Oh, please wait a minute. I don't understand one word you're saying.
Well, I'm just reviewing every movie that has 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm giving them all a score of 1 to 10. After I watch them and score them all, I will rank them from worst to best. I started in the 1920 silent movie era, and now I'm at 1957 with Death Set. This movie has a 100% fresh rating from the critics and an 83% fresh rating from the audience. It stars Spencer Tracy as Richard Sumner and Katherine Hepburn as Bunny Watson. Now, I had never heard of this movie before. This is actually the first movie that I've ever seen with Spencer Tracy. I have seen a few movies with Katherine Hepburn. I think she's fantastic. I think she's one of the greatest actresses who ever lived. And I think together they do a really good job. This movie is not only funny, but it's actually incredibly topical given what's going on with the working climate today. What this movie is about is Bunny works in an office building with 3 other employees. She's kind of like the manager or the head of this department. Her department is called the Research and Reference Department. And what this is that anyone is able to call in at any time during business hours, and these four women are able to answer any questions that you have about anything. Now, there may come a time where they have to research a question and call you back, take your number, or a lot of times they just know the answers right off the top of their heads. They're really good at their job. One of the questions that they ask are pretty funny. And one of the first questions that's asked in this movie, someone calls and asks if Eskimo kisses are really 2 Eskimos rubbing their noses together. So, of course, the lady doesn't know the answer. She has to go and do research. She calls a bunch of people, a bunch of places, and she finally finds out the answer, and she calls the people back and gives them the answer.
Hello. I'm trying to find out the truth about the Eskimo habit of rubbing noses.
That isn't very much of a reduction, is it?
Well, do they rub noses or don't they?
Another question is who has the major league record for batting average in a career. The answer to that question in 1957 was Ty Cobb, and in 2023, the answer to that question would still be Ty Cobb. So still the same answer to that question.
Reference, Miss Blair. Yes, just a moment. I'll switch you to our baseball expert. Peg, on 2.
Miss Costello speaking. The highest lifetime batting average? Yes, that was held by Tyrus Raymond Cobb.
But that's essentially what their job is. They're really good at their jobs. They love what they do. They love interacting with each other. They have fun with each other. They're just a nice office department who's really good at what they do, and they love interacting with people. Their lives are basically turned upside down, though, when Richard Sumner comes into play. He is what's called he calls himself a methods engineer, but is also an efficiency expert.
People seem to go into a panic.
Good heavens. What do you do?
I'm a methods engineer.
Is that a sort of efficiency expert?
Well, that term is a bit obsolete now.
Oh, forgive me.
He has this computerized system called the Brain. It's a huge computer that fits basically almost the size of an entire room, and it's meant to make people's jobs more efficient. Now, in this movie, they put it in the accounting department, and the accounting department automatically became a more efficient place. And what it's designed to do is it's designed to, like I said earlier, where she had to call to see if 2 Eskimos rubbing their nose together really was an Eskimo kiss. Instead of having to do all that legwork and all that calling, you would just put the question into this computer and it would be able to answer the question for you. So it's basically like a 1957's Google is what it is. It's not meant to take away anyone's job. It's not meant to, but at the time, the people in the office, they don't know any of this, and once they find out that that is what he's there for, they start to believe that their jobs are in jeopardy.
Now, there's one thing I want you to promise me. Don't let the girls in research know what you're doing.
How's that?
I don't want them to know anything about this big thing that's coming up. It's vital that it be kept a secret.
There's really funny scenes in the movie where you first meet this guy and you don't really know what his motives are. You don't know what he's trying to accomplish. He's just a guy who's, kind of snooping around looking at things. He has a really funny scene where he has a tape measure and he's kind of measuring for the size of the computer. But the girls don't know what's going on. They're just completely lost as to what he's doing. And they really want to find out. They really want to know, why is this guy here and what is he doing in our office?
Catch anything?
He eventually has a chat with Bunny Watson, and he takes her out to dinner, and he tries to, he has this series of questions that he asks her to try to trip her up, because she has just this fantastic memory. She can remember basically anything, and she's, like I said, she's really good at her job. So he tries to trip her up with these questions, and every question she can answer right away. She knows, this is just to show that, maybe his computer system isn't going to be that much help, because she knows what she's talking about.
I'm sorry.
How many people got off at Chappaqua?
9.
That's correct.
Yes, I know.
Would you mind telling me how you arrived at that conclusion?
And also, as a side story for her, she has a boyfriend who works in the office as well, and he's sort of afraid of commitment when it comes to marriage. She wants to get married, she wants to get engaged, but he is unable to take that leap for whatever reason. Her friends are trying to tell her that she should move on, that he's not serious about the relationship, and that she should look elsewhere. But, she still loves the guy, and she still continues down this same line. As the movie goes on, we learn that Spencer Tracy's character, Richard, also is never married. And he says that he never got married because he could never find a girl who could put up with him and put up with how he acts and his demeanor.
But not pacifically enough to get married.
Oh, no. That's not it at all. I just never found anyone willing to put up with me.
No, as the story goes along, Bunny and Richard start falling for each other. They start falling in love. As that starts happening, her relationship with her significant other really starts deteriorating to where you kind of in the middle of the movie that these two people are going to end up together. They laugh with each other. They can tell jokes with each other. They just have really great chemistry with each other. And you know that is going to be what happens. So as their relationship starts to blossom, they get this supercomputer installed, and basically all mayhem lets loose at that point. The office workers, they get pink slips. The people in this department, they all get pink slips saying that they're being fired. They lose the passion that they have for their job, and they just start letting the phones ring. They start letting chaos happen. The girl who's supposed to be teaching them how to use this brain, and she ends up having to answer the phone calls. She ends up having to run around like her head's cut off, trying to get this supercomputer to work.
The other phone, Mr. Sumner.
Hang on. What's the matter with everybody around here?
Oh, as if you didn't know.
What? Well, just be patient. We're trying to get the information for you.
And it doesn't work. Spencer Tracy's character comes in. He says, "Hey, what's going on here? Why is no one answering the phones? Why is the supercomputer not working? Why is there mass chaos going on here?" And the girls basically say, they show their pink slip, and they say, "Well, we're all fired." And Spencer Tracy gets he gets upset, and he said, "This wasn't supposed to happen. You guys weren't supposed to be fired. The exact opposite was supposed to happen. You were supposed to be so efficient that you were able to take on more people and help more people and open the lines up more. And this is chaos."
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Did you all get fired?
That's right.
Why?
Why? Why indeed?
He then calls the guy who's in charge, and the guy in charge says everyone in the whole building got pink slips because there was a problem with the brain in the accounting department, and they sent everyone pink slips, and it's all a big deal. And eventually they get it solved. They realize that they weren't going to be fired, and this is supposed to help them, and that there's nothing nefarious going on here, that they're going to keep their jobs. And that's basically the movie. There is a really funny scene in the middle of the movie where Spencer Tracy ends up going to the house of Katherine Hepburn, and it's like raining outside, and he goes in to get dry. They somehow meet together by chance, and he goes in to get dry, and her boyfriend comes in, and there's this funny scene where he's, well, maybe you should have called before you came to the boyfriend. I don't know, the whole scene's pretty funny. This movie is also incredibly topical because now we have ChatGPT, who a lot of people think and are worried that it's going to take their jobs away from them. I work from home, but I work in a company where you build stuff using Python, you build stuff using Power Query, and there are legitimate concerns that one day something like ChatGPT is going to take people's jobs away. Now, you can do a lot of things in ChatGPT, but sometimes it makes mistakes and it doesn't know how to correct the mistakes, and you have to really be there to comb through all the coding and all that stuff. It's sort of like with the brain, where it was this idea that's set in place that could actually work someday. And I mean, the brain did work in a way, because now you have Google and you have, you can get information at the snap of a finger. Now, it's not always good information, like in this movie. It's not always correct information, but you can basically get whatever you want, whatever you're looking for, your confirmation biases. You can confirm whatever you feel is correct by just Googling it. Hey, am I correct about this? And Google will say yes. Because that's what you can do these days. So ChatGPT is along the same lines, where it really needs someone there to help it along. But anyway, this movie is about technology and the fear of technology entering your life and entering your workspace. Now, in this movie, it was a fear that never really came to light, because it was just something that helped them. But if you fast forward 20, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, I would say that this was ahead of its time. It knew that this sort of process would be taken over by computers. How did they know? I don't know. Maybe the writing was on the wall in the 50s, but I thought they did a really great job in predicting the future here. The movie's also incredibly funny. Whenever they answered the phone, there was a question about it's a Christmas movie. It's set during Christmas also. There's a question about who are the reindeers that pull Santa's sleigh. They must have answered the phone like 7-8 times and answered this same question every time while they're having a Christmas party, holiday party at the office. I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. It's a really charming movie that I didn't expect. The premise of the movie, it's called Death Set. Now, that alone for me is, like, if you're going to judge a book by its cover, that title is not too, it doesn't really pull you in. It doesn't draw you in. Death Set. Okay, great. 1957, sure. Katherine Hepburn? Okay, I'm in. But it's actually a really phenomenal, funny movie that I can't believe I've never heard of before. I can't believe it's not considered a classic. I mean, it could even be considered a Christmas classic, because it's set during Christmas time, and I'd never even heard it before. Most of the holiday movies that I've watched, and a few that I've watched for this list of movies, I've heard of. But this is one movie that I've never heard of before, completely out of left field. I thought it was great. The acting performances are phenomenal. Spencer Tracy is great, as Katherine Hepburn is as great as always. And even the people around them do a really good job at being character actors and doing what they set out to do. The script is phenomenal. The script is really funny. The directing is great. I've never seen a computer like that takes up the whole size of a room before. I'm going to have to assume that that's what they look like, but wow, we have come a long way in 65 years. That is just crazy. Now you basically have a computer on your phone. So technology is forever spinning. It's forever rapidly spinning. I can remember in the 90s when I had AOL, and now look at where we're at now. But yeah, I thought this movie was, like I said, it was written spectacularly. It's funny. It has great acting. It's topical. I can really understand the material that they're giving me. I can understand, from a technology point of view, what they're saying. And it's just a movie that's ahead of its time. You can watch it today and you can really understand it. You can really get it. You can think it's funny. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was really great. The 1950s have been spectacular so far for movies. This is the best decade I think I've been through so far. I mean, I've only been through the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and now the 50s, but the 50s are blowing me away. I mean, these movies are just phenomenal. The next movie that I will be reviewing is going to be called The Music Room, I believe. It is a foreign movie, and I will hopefully have that for you soon. I've been taking long pauses in between reviews, but hopefully I can kind of get a better cadence here and get my next review out sooner. Thank you. I hope you have a great day.